Hello everyone and welcome back to African Tech Gurus. Today we are going to cover the quiz on function pointers. Previously we have looked at what function pointers are and we have looked at how to declare them and looked at an example that we can use in our code. So make sure you watch that video if you've not watched it for you to be able to understand today's quiz and also for you to be able to understand the task. So let us dive into the questions. So for me, my first question is, what does a pointer to a function point to? So here we're supposed to check all the answers that are correct. And if you watched the previous video, then you definitely are able to quickly pick the answer to this. A pointer to a function points to the code or the block of code that contains the function body where it has been declared and where the entire body is. So the very first will be the code. And then secondly, it will also contain the first byte of code of that function. So it will contain the first byte of code or the first address to that function. So those are the two that are correct. It does not point to data. A normal pointer is what points to data, and that is not the same as a function pointer. And this, the last option which I have on my end, is the first character of the name of the function. This is not correct because it doesn't point to the character of the name. It points to the first byte of code of that function wherever it is stored in memory. So code and the first byte of the function are the two correct answers. The second question that I do have is to store the address of this function, which is void neo and also has no argument, to the variable f of type pointer to a function that does not take any argument and does not return anything. So that is what this means. The function is called neo. It does not return anything. So that is what the first void means. And the second void in parentheses means that this function called neo does not take any arguments. So if you were to store the address of this function, how would we do it? So f is already a pointer, so it's already been declared somewhere with the asterisk that f is a pointer. So here where asterisk f is used is wrong because that is not how you use it. So f is already a pointer, so we just need to pass or assign it the address of our function. So how we can get the address of a function, as we looked at previously, is you use the ampersand sign, which is this and you pass in the name of the function when you're looking at pointer functions, pointers to a function. Or if it is a pointer to a variable, you use the same thing. You use the ampersand sign and the name of the variable, and you assign this to the name of the pointer to a function variable, which is f in this case. So this is okay. The other thing that is okay is this: when you simply call the name of the function, in our case it is neo, or when you simply pass it, what this does is it will get the first address of the code and pass that address to f. So you also don't have to use the ampersand sign. If you simply pass in the name of the function, it will simply assign the first byte of the code of the function, which is this that you've seen here, or the address, which is the same thing. So those two are equally correct. The other question that I do have on my end is, which one is a pointer to a function? If you watch the previous video, then this will simply and quickly come to you. And this very first one is wrong because this is just declaring a normal function, so that is not a pointer to a function. It is just simply a function. This other one, we looked at it and we said that what this will do is it will create the function first, which is what I am highlighting, which is called func, and it will take in two arguments, integer a and float b. And after that, it will assign fancy to be a pointer. So what you'll have here at the end of the day is you will have a function that is containing pointers and not a pointer to a function. So this is wrong. And this is wrong because of the precedence. What will be given more priority or precedence is the parentheses to create the function and then assigning and creating the pointer next. So the other thing is this is not correct because here this is actually wrong. You're not supposed to put the parentheses when you are deciding or declaring the return type. So this is the correct one, and what this is saying is we are first going to create our function which is called func, and it is going to be a pointer. So we've already specifically said that it is going to be a pointer, and the next thing that is going to happen is it is going to take in two arguments, one which is an integer a and the other which is a float b. So at the end of the day we have declared a pointer, because here we're declaring a pointer to a function. This is the function. So this is the correct solution. And the other question 4, which I have on my end, is if f is a pointer to a function that takes no parameter and returns an integer, you can call the function pointed by f in what way? So here they're just asking, how can we invoke this function? How can we call it for us to be able to use it? So here this is not correct because this f is just a pointer to the function, so we cannot call it this way. How we can call it is if we use this, where we use f, which is the pointer, to the function, and then when we use the parentheses, we are simply now invoking the function itself, because a function contains arguments that it will take into, and the arguments will be contained in the parentheses. And the other way you can also do it is this way, where you are also saying that f is a pointer to a function, and this function contains something inside it, and also we use the parentheses. So the correct options are the first two, and this single f alone by itself, it just simply means this is a pointer. We are like just saying that this is a pointer, but we're not calling it or invoking it for us to use it. And lastly, we do have this, which is a block of code. So here we have a function called Anjula, and Anjula is an array of pointers. So this is a function which is called Anjula, and it also contains an array. So at the end of the day, it will be an array of pointers to a function that takes in two arguments, one of type integer and the other of type float, but does not return anything because of the specification of void. So our correct answer will be this is an array of pointers, because Anjula is a function, but it is an array of functions, and when we use the asterisk we make it a pointer, so it becomes an array of pointers to functions that take two arguments, integer and float, and they don't return anything. So I hope this video was insightful, and I hope that you've been able to understand how to go through the quizzes whenever you have quizzes, how to think through the questions for you to be able to get the correct answers. So always make sure that you go through the content, you read it and you understand it before you actually dive into the tasks and the quizzes, because that way you'll be able to test your level of understanding, and if you've not understood, you're able to go back. So thank you for watching today's video. If this was very insightful to you, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and also comment down below so that we're able to know what other content you would like us to share, what other content you would like us to create videos on, because we're all learning together and we are going to become better African tech gurus. Thank you so much for your time, and until next time, happy coding.